the chains, got it from my face. I remain the same. They had called us lame. They say we insane. It's bigger than us. This is for the game. The game. This is for the game.
This is Stagville Plantation, the largest plantation that was in North Carolina.
Okay, we've been gone for quite a while.
Running around,
all
here
over
and
the
there,
world.
all over the world.
And I love traveling all over
From
the
the
world.
South to the Pacific Northwest.
Mm-hmm. And so right now, you have just gotten back. Well, we both just got back.
Yeah.
But what happened was you spent 2 weeks in Durham, North Carolina. And then we went to the CCDA conference in Portland, Oregon. Then we spent a day in Seattle. Then we spent 2 or 3 days in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada.
Correct.
And so we're going to split this into 2 parts because Durham, you spending 2 weeks in Durham, meeting all the people you met, is a big deal. And so that'll be this first part. And then part 2 will be our trip together. So my questions for you, which I've heard a lot of stories from you on what happened in Durham, who you were with, all the stories. But for our audience and our friends, our family, people on our newsletter list, and also our followers on many different platforms, tell them why you spent 2 weeks in Durham. Why were you there for 2 whole weeks?
Yeah, well, I was 2 weeks in Durham because in what we're doing, we practice something that's called asset-based community development, which is this kind of time-tested, evidence-based way of doing community development work that we're really just copying and pasting. And what it stands for, people call it ABCD, asset-based community development. What it stands for and means is when you go into a space, you recognize that there's already great and beautiful things that are seen as assets in the community that are already happening. And so there's people within the neighborhoods that have beautiful skills, beautiful passions. There's organizations. There are leaders who are doing amazing things. And so instead of going to a space and acting as if you're the savior and nothing good is happening, you recognize all the good and beautiful things that are happening. And you learn, how can we learn from them? How can we partner with them? How can we love on them in the community together? And so that was a big part of my reason of going out there for 2 weeks, was to connect with some of those people in person and to see the space again that we'll be in, the neighborhood we'll be in, and meet folks that are in that neighborhood or around it, and to just gather more information on what's happening there, what are the hard things that are happening there, what are the beautiful things that are happening there, and that gives us information as we do our research on how we can best serve the community. And so that was kind of some of the work that I was doing there, and just making all the connections and meeting great people.
So when you were in Durham, what did you hope to happen while you were there? Did you have some aspirational hopes and desires at the end of the trip? What were some of those?
I don't know if I had any specific hopes or goals other than just returning back with some new friendships, some new relationships, and more information about the neighborhood we'll be serving in to learn how to best serve it. I don't know if I had any other hopes other than that. And I think all of that was achieved throughout my time out there.
Yeah.
But I also think for me personally, it was like an enriching time. And we talk about this when we go to the Christian Community Development Conference, CCDA, how it's a refreshing time for us because we connect with people who are like-minded, they're doing some similar work, have similar hearts and passions, where I felt like I got to do some of that in Durham. I was just connecting with all of the people who have similar hearts and passions to the ones we do. And it was enriching to meet them and to connect with them. And it was just encouraged by some of their work and some of the things that they see in and around the community. And so I think I returned like super energized and blessed and inspired being there.
Well, tell us a little bit about who you met with. I know there was a ton of people you met with, but maybe some of the ones that stick out to you and why it was meaningful meeting up with them.
Yeah. So I had planned for like 22 meetings. I had 22 meetings scheduled with folks, and then the organizations or work that they represented alongside that. And
I forgot to mention.
Yeah.
The only reason I wasn't with him was because I'm still working a couple jobs here in Phoenix. So I was a little like low key super jealous that he got to go.
Yeah.
For 2 whole
I know.
weeks
I was so sad you weren't able to join me. Everyone I was meeting with.
I keep saying that. I keep using the word jealous, but I really mean I was sad.
Yeah.
I was just sad I could not be there with
you.
You
Got some water on your lip.
Do I?
Yeah.
I could feel it was like a drop of water. It's probably a tear.
Yeah.
For the tree. But go ahead. I'm sorry. I just wanted to mention, if people are watching like, why wasn't she with you? I didn't mention that. So
Yeah, it was sad you couldn't be with me. I wish you could have met all these amazing people. But I had over 22 meetings with pastors, nonprofit leaders, some business leaders, and just folks in the community in and around Durham. And yeah, they were all, I don't know if I could say there was one that was my favorite, but the ones that all maybe stood out to me in my mind now as I think about it is one was with my first meeting was with this guy named Topher Tomas, who's with an organization called Coram houses. And he's great. And he had me meet him at this like crepe bar and had some like cool, delicious big crepes together.
And I know you love crepes.
I do love crepes. Yeah. I was feeling sweet that day, but I usually like savory crepes. But it was good to eat there and getting to know him and his story. He's like similar life stage as we are. And so it was cool just connecting with what felt like a peer and another person who's just up to the things we're up to and cares about the same things that we care about in that space. And he, I can't remember how long, maybe within the past year and a half, had developed Coram houses, which they do this affordable housing type of strategy and creating tiny homes in folks' backyard. And it's like super affordable tiny homes that people can pay off on someone's land. And then that person who's has the land, they're also able to make a little bit of income too through helping provide some affordable housing for an individual. And so super cool model. Yeah. And we thought about maybe even partnering with him and going that route of when we moved to Durham, of maybe going the tiny home route and getting some land and getting a tiny home on it, and going through him would be great. And so that's just one thing that stood out to me. I was like, man, that's super innovative. It's super creative and it meets a need too. Yeah. So I thought that was cool. So that was one meeting that kind of stood out. Another great one that stood out to me was meeting with Camryn and Ernest Smith.
I know you ain't got no favorites, but I mean, the way you talked about them was like, they're going to be our mentors. Like, they are doing it.
They're great. Yeah. I think they're doing the work. I look at them and I'm just like, oh my goodness, I just love to learn and sit under them. They, maybe in like the early, when did they move to Durham? Maybe early 2000s or mid 2000s. They moved to East Durham. Old East Durham. I think people just call it East Durham.
Really?
East Durham, okay. Yeah. But they moved there to do some community development work and serve their neighborhood and just be in that space, and have developed an organization called Communities in Partnership that just does a lot of great events and ways they serve that neighborhood, and also Durham in general, from a great food program to just different annual big events they have. I think they have a big trunk or treat event that's kind of like this
that's cool.
Safe way in their neighborhood of doing Halloween and celebrating that. And so Yeah, and they took me out to like a super fancy restaurant for steak and like nice stuff as we got to just like
That's
I
so
got to hear
nice.
from them and talk
Yeah.
with them about what we're up to and hear some of their story and so
I did get to meet them because y'all called me on Facebook.
yeah, after we met, I was like, "Oh, you guys got to meet my wife."
But
I think you love her
I
so
mean,
much.
I was looking broke down and busted though. I was like, why would you?
I don't think you were. I told you I was gonna give you a call.
I know. I just didn't realize the timing and stuff because I had like changing my pajamas, washed my
You look
face.
fine. But yeah, they are great,
Yeah.
and they just have a beautiful witness in the city and the community because they've been there just for a long time, just being obedient to God and their callings and vocations. Camryn is the one who's been lead the communities in partnership along with her husband, but he's also a civil rights lawyer in the city, and so they're always busy working on different projects and doing different things. Even as I was meeting with them, they were sharing that they were headed to Portugal, and she was doing some writing project there with a friend, and then they were going to Romania after they had done some missions work in Romania, so they're going back there to reconnect with some people. And so yeah, I was like, you guys are just doing the thing, and it was just great.
Yeah.
Connecting with them and being with them, and so that was great. Keith Daniel is also a great dude I met with. He's a very humble guy because there was different folks I met with in the community, and a lot of them mentioned like, have you connected with Keith Daniel? Like Keith Daniel was a big name, and his witness in the community in the city is kind of like Camryn Ernest Smith, and he's just been there for a long time. He's been doing beautiful work in serving folks and creating opportunities for people for a long time. And so he's great, and he has a rich history at Duke too, and I think they honored him even recently.
Really?
Yeah, and he's super humble. You wouldn't know that or any of that by just talking with him. But I just learned that from the other people I met with. Yeah. And so he was great. There's so many great people. Breana and Velzen. Breana and Sheritta are probably some of our two just best and friends out there, I feel like, already. Breana, she had interned one summer at Neighborhood Ministries, where I worked at. And so we were connected as I was coming out there, and she was kind of, I feel like, a big host for me out there, and we just had sweet time together, eating some tacos from this Mexican restaurant. It was from folks from Guanajuato.
There was that time that you put us all in a group chat, and then she was texting us like, I think she thought I was there with you.
Yeah, I think maybe she thought you were out there too, but.
Not that.
I think, I mean, I'm excited just to be in community with her and them and join in some of the good work that's happening and some of the initiatives that we plan on just doing and hoping to be a part of. And I think she has similar sentiments, and she's excited to be in community with us and you. So I thought she was hoping you were out there.
Yeah, no, I look forward to being with her out there.
Yeah. So those are a few. All of them were really great, and I think all 22 meetings that I had, there's like rich stories from and rich meaning from. Angela Lee is also fantastic.
You called her the queen of Durham.
The queen of Hayti. Yeah, she's great. She leads the Hayti Heritage Center, which is a pretty significant space in the Hayti community. It almost serves as the cultural heritage preservation space for Hayti to help preserve the richness of that neighborhood and its history. And they also offer a lot of different art and movement classes and activities for folks in the neighborhood. And so the person who leads it, her name's Angela Lee, and she's been there for a long time too, serving. And she was just great, super graceful person. There's someone that told me, I think, that she maybe used to work at a radio station. And I was like, I can see that because her voice was so like soothing and calming. I could see her maybe doing radio in the past. But yeah, she was just a super calming presence and a great individual, and had shared just a couple great stories that connected with reverse migration, which just like communicated like she definitely understands like kind of what we're up to and the things that we hope to be a part of repairing and healing. And so she was great and super sweet, but all 22 meetings were super impactful, and I could go on and on. I have reflections from every single one.
Yeah, I feel like you named to this. You almost feel like, or someone named it to you, that you almost feel like you met Duke Durham.
Yeah. Someone had. So Duke, right? University is in Durham. It's in western part of Durham, and I mean, there's some tension around Duke and the city. I won't get much into all that, but there is some tension because that area and space seems like it's been loved by the city more historically, and there's all these other underdeveloped parts of the city now, and that's kind of, I think, what the focus is going forward, is how do we help develop some of these other spaces that haven't gotten as much love as the area Duke has. But yeah, a lot of the Christian leaders that I met in the community, a lot of them came from Duke, meaning they went to Duke for their masters in divinity, or for their demon or ministry, or some of them have like taught there or worked there in some capacity. And so there's a lot of the folks that are leading different Christian spaces out there. A lot of them came from Duke or were connected to Duke at one's time. And so, yeah, the lady that shared that with me, she didn't have any education at Duke. She went to other seminaries, and then is in Durham. She grew up in Durham, and she went to other places for a seminary. I don't know if she did those online or if she moved, but she just never went to Duke. And so she was the one that kind of named that to me. It's like a lot of the folks I connected with came from Duke, which made me reflect like all of the Christian leaders in here that have ties to Duke, which is interesting observation.
And the other thing I wanted you to talk about too is, this is our newsletter update, and so this is the first time we're announcing to people in this way that you are full-time now.
Yeah, I meant to say that before. It's like why you weren't able to go, because I was able to, because I'm full-time BLK South now. That's why I was able to go. And so we've able to raise enough for me to be full-time. Praise God for that. So August was my last month at neighborhood, which was all the feelings and emotional heart, and they're long life friends and community. And so it's not like we don't see them. We were hanging out with folks from them at CCDA last week. And so they're still very much part of our community and family. And so, August was the last month there. And then September was the start of being BLK South full time. And I tell folks the story of the first day of me being full time. For some of my PhD studies, there's this pastor in Florida who's written a book on African American missionaries in the 19th century. And so
I forgot he wrote a book.
Yeah, that's why I was wanting to meet and connect with him to talk about it for some of my research and studies. And I'm also sharing with him about BLK South and the community development work we're up to in Durham. And he was just great. He's great to meet with. Pastor Kent Michael Shaw, Dr. Kent Michael Shaw. He's just great. Super knowledgeable guy. He loves his Pentecostal tradition. He's a super Pentecostal guy too. And so he asked if he could pray for me. I was like, I'd love for you to pray with me. So he prays with me, and then a few hours after that, we get an email of this church that wanted to partner with us at $1,000 a month. And so I was like, I gotta have him pray for us again.
He should be praying every day.
And so that was my first day of BLK South, and so definitely encouraging moments. And I think that's just one of many others that we have of how we feel like God's just been guiding us, and this assurance of God being with us throughout the steps. And so it's been a sweet first month and a half now
It's crazy. It's
It
been a
feels
month and a
yeah,
half.
yeah. It's been busy because of all the travels. I feel like I was getting into a certain routine and schedule of a lot of my work, and then it got thrown off because of my trip to Durham and then going up to CCDA and our anniversary. And so now I'm kind of getting back into the routine of doing all the Black South work and connecting with folks and reaching out and all the development work that it takes to do some of the good work we plan on doing.
That's good, babe. Is there anything else you want to tell them about the transition you've made or anything else that sticks out to you to update them on?
I don't think so. Are there any Durham things that I'm missing, you feel like?
Maybe like I thought the plantation excursion you went on with Breana was cool.
Yeah, there's so many. There's so many cool things. So Durham has Durham had one of the largest slave plantations called Stagville Plantation. And so even like, which is, I mean, this is another thing too, is some of the ancestry research I was doing out there. Orange County, which is a county right next to Durham County, is where I trace back on my grandmother's side, where her ancestors go back as far back as the 1790s, as far back as I can go. And so there's a likelihood that some of them may have been enslaved at this plantation that was in Durham. And so it was kind of wild going there. I went there because there was an event happening of this Black woman coming from Colombia who came up to share about her story and was just like encouraging what does it look like to have this cross-cultural conversation about reparations and healings across the whole African diaspora. So that was a super cool event, but it was at this plantation, and Breana, who is the person who invited me to it, then kind of gave me a small little tour of the plantation because she does that, and was telling me about it, and it was such a cool experience just being there and hearing about some of the stories and some of the ancestors of those who were enslaved on the plantation were there at the event as well, and so that was just wild.
So the slave owners?
No, those who were enslaved.
Oh, okay. I was like, that.
Yeah. I think that some of the slave owners may have been there. I mean, one thing about Durham too that I think I've observed is Durham is a very truth-telling city, in that it acknowledges its history, it acknowledges its past, and tries to figure out ways. Well, how can we help bring justice and healing to all of this? They're asking those questions. They're engaging with those questions, which is something I'm not sure every city is doing. And so, the plantation is right there, not far from the downtown city of Durham. And so it just opens up conversations for folks, because the direct ancestors of those who were slave owners are like in the city too still. And so it's like, well, we're all sharing this space together still. And so they engage all that stuff, which is kind of cool to see.
I hope the descendants of slaves go and get their money.
I don't know if I can share this, because it sounds like it was kind of on the low of what Breana was sharing with me.
Follow you guys.
I'll say this quick thing. I won't say it specifically, but those who can trace their ancestry to being enslaved by folks from the Duke family are afforded just some benefits in going to Duke. But it's like not, and so she was sharing that with me. It's because Duke acknowledges that like your ancestors are slave owners, and so they give this opportunity to folks that can trace their ancestry to being enslaved.
That's a step.
So there's just like cool things and conversations like that's happening. Which is cool.
Very cool.
There was something else I was gonna say too. My ancestry. So had ancestors in Orange County. Some of them were most likely enslaved, and going to that plantation was wild. But then also, as I was doing research, I discovered that my second great grandmother and her son, so my great great uncle, that they lived in Durham. They lived in the neighborhood where we're going to be in and serve.
That's so
the Hayti
crazy.
district, the Hayti neighborhood. And so I even have the record down to what house they were in Hayti and what house they were living
crazy.
in. Yeah, they rented it. I don't think they ever owned.
Yeah.
I can't find anything saying they owned anything. I think they were renting different places.
But just the fact that their feet were walking in that place.
Yeah.
And without even knowing, we were drawn to that place.
Yes, back to that space.
Is again, feels very divine to me. You know, it's not coincidental at all.
Yeah, so many God moments and so many meaningful, I think, things throughout that whole experience and things at CCDA as well, which I know we'll get into next time more of.
I think in this part, maybe I'll give a couple updates too on just what's happening.
Yeah.
You know, since this is like the first
you
update.
give your updates. I've been doing all the talking.
No, it's because you were in Durham for 2 weeks. But for me, big updates would be that this coming Sunday, February 20th, is my last Sunday at Kaleo, which is not February 20th. What am I talking
Sunday.
about? October 20th.
Sunday, October.
Yeah, it's my last
20th.
Sunday at Kaleo, which feels like it feels full circle, and we'll get into it more when we recap our last trip to Portland and Seattle and Vancouver, because God did some really cool things there. But I don't feel like I'm gonna cry. I feel like I might cry because of that tree. I ain't gonna hold you, but I don't think I'm gonna cry about the Kaleo piece because I feel like I've already cried and grieved it for so long. Like we've told the community what feels like 2 years ago, at least. The first people we told was like Chris and Kit and all that.
December was the big.
And December, was the big time we told the community, the actual community, and it just feels like it's been a long time. I don't know if I'll ever make a transition like this again, but I don't know if I'll ever not either, because I feel like it's the right way to do it if you are. And this is no judgment on anybody that hasn't done it this way, but I just feel like I've seen enough church transitions where people just kind of like 2 weeks later, they're up and gone or they leave. And you feel like your heart's being ripped out of your chest. And I didn't want anyone in our community to experience that. And I wanted to maybe try something different. And Chris and I wanted that together as shared leadership. And so, like, what would it look like to tell them with enough time where they could, like, grieve and process their own feelings with us while we're still there and walk with us as we're preparing to move to another place, like Durham for us. And so I think that's been really cool to share that with them, because it's just like we're very open about how we're feeling or what we're experiencing or what we're doing or what God's doing. And it feels like we brought them along in the process. So this Sunday is the last Sunday at Kaleo. I think I'm going to, it's supposed to be like Kaleo stories, and I'm sharing a story. So I think the story I'm going to share is about how Kaleo has formed me over the last almost 5 years and how I've become a new person, just allowing the space of Kaleo Phoenix to form me, and then leave with a parting prayer or parting words of some sort. So I need to put that together, but that's what's been stirring in me to prepare for this Sunday. And then the other part that I'm not telling a bunch of people, but I feel like it would be great to tell you guys as you come along the journey with us in our scholarly endeavors, is that I've officially joined seminary, which is a huge thing for me, because I never wanted to go to a seminary where I was just going to be taught by white men, because been there and done that. I've been taught by white men in church spaces all my life. I do not need to pay somebody to then do it to me again. I'm feeling way more liberated than that. And so I was looking for seminary experiences where more Black women were preaching and teaching. I couldn't find that at the time, and that's how I stumbled upon being mentored by Reverend Dr. Cassandra Gould, who's on our board with BLK South, which is a whole beautiful thing. Great. Super grateful for her. If it wasn't for her, there would be no BLK South, because it happened because of her mentorship and coaching process. But with that being said, she had always recommended Eden Theological Seminary. They have a new program called Masters in Community Leadership, and you can do an emphasis in justice, diversity, equity, and inclusion, or community organizing. And so I'm getting my master's in community leadership with an emphasis in community organizing. And so that's been so cool. Like I'm taking, it's crazy actually. Like I'm taking 5 classes right now. It's an accelerated program. I was thinking it was going to be like MTC where it's once a week for 3 hours in the morning or in the evening before you do work. But it's like not that. It's a lot more rigorous. And so it's like trying to, thankfully a lot of my classes are either early morning or early evening or late evening. So I can like work in between all of that. And I'm thankful for having a community organizing job where the hours are a little bit more flexible. They're rigorous now because it's selection season, but it's not a standard 9 to 5 job. And so I'm thankful for that. But yeah, I'm really, really excited about it. And out of my 5 classes, 3 of them are taught by Black women. And I love the classes I'm taking. I love the classes I'm taking. I love my professors because their social location is like mine, right? And so their perspective on it is very liberating. And the way that they teach it is liberating, And so it's really beautiful to have that. And the actual seminary is a pivotal one in the UCC tradition because it is a UCC. Is it UCC or UUC? It's UCC. I keep getting the acronyms mixed up. But in the city of St. Louis, that's where it's located, St. Louis, Missouri. When Ferguson happened, they were a seminary that opened up their location for different leaders in the community to come there and be there as a safe space to strategize on what they were going to be doing for the community and for the city. And they have since completely shifted since Ferguson, the teaching method, their emphasis on how they're forming people. Like they really did a lot of reflection and changes in their curriculum and their methods and all of that. And that's something Dr. Gould told me. And she just always recommended them. And I just never felt that it was the right time until like I'm transitioning out of pastoring at Kaleo. And as we prepare to do BLK South, I feel like community leadership and having a master's in that is really beneficial to what we're doing in nonprofit. And it's actually made for nonprofit leaders and people that want to do community development type work in community. And then also I feel like, we want to be bivocational scholars. Like my ultimate dream, I think, is to travel and research and write and be practitioners as well. And so be able to research and write liberating language that helps the people that we're serving and also vice versa in that sense. And Isabel Wilkerson, if you haven't seen the movie Origin, that's where I get that inspiration from. I just love that she was all over the world and making these connections and finding the through line, the thread, between this community of people and this community of people. And what does that mean? And all of
Mom made me promise I'd come by today. It's my birthday.
Wait, today is your birthday?
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
It's Brett.
I'm Isabel.
Yeah, I know.
Most relationships end. Friendships, romances, they break. You okay?
If you look closely, you'll find something tragic was happening.
Are you interested in writing something for us?
I don't do assignments anymore.
Yeah, well, you're a better writer than most people do anything. Have you heard the tapes?
No. Of what?
Topher Police Department, this is Sean.
Hey, we've had some break-ins in my neighborhood, and there's a real suspicious guy. Looks like he's up to no good or something.
I want to be in the story. Really inside the story. And build a thesis that shows how all of this is linked.
I gotta be honest with you, I don't understand. I don't see it.
You go and write your stories. Folks need to know about this.
You're trying to make sense of racism, but your thesis is flawed.
It was all lies. They knew we weren't inferior.
You don't escape trauma by ignoring it. You escape
escape trauma by confronting it.
I don't write questions. I write answers.
That stuff, I see myself doing that for sure.
And
And
what's
so
happening
I think
now? It's just the travels we've done, going to CCDA,
100%, 100%.
Vancouver.
Yeah,
It's
like
just
we're living it now.
tracking all that
Yeah.
stuff now.
And so this is just another tool in the toolbox
Mhm.
for the work that we're going to do. So I think those are the two biggest updates I have. My last day with Corazon is December 15th. So I'll be finishing that job in December. And I'll be jumping in full time with Kendall January 1 officially. And a lot of people, you know, even our board, the board meetings we've had, they've really encouraged us to slow down and take it slow, low and slow. You know, some people have encouraged us from CCDA too. And I think I feel that, you know, there's this urgency to, oh man, I need to fundraise. Yes. And I'm just not interested in capitalism and the systems that cause us to not enjoy life and the systems that take our focus off of God's good creation and the things that are meaningful, which is the relationships that you have and the people and the neighborhoods that we're planted in and, you know, serve alongside of and all of that. And I really just want to slow down enough to commemorate what Phoenix has been to us and to myself and the journey that I've been on. And it's been a large part of my formation. It's where I met you. It's where I became a pastor. It's where COVID happened and my formation and deconstruction and reconstruction. It's just largely significant. And so I really want to commemorate that. And I want to almost get back to my Kaleo rhythms with you and Black South, where it's slowed down and we're having meaningful reflections and meeting, you know, more than once a week because we're married. But, you know, with Kaleo, Chris and I met once a week and prayed and had meaningful reflections and then planned like what was to come. And I feel like carrying on that rhythm and that tradition is something I really look forward to doing with you, with Black South. And yeah, what you laughing at? I'm talking a lot.
No,
What?
I just love you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I love you too. So anyways, I think that's all. We're at 36 minutes right now. I think that's it.
I think that's all I have.
That's all I have
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. Thank you all so much for partnering with us in this way, whether it's through thoughts and prayer or it's through gifts and giving. Thank you for those who partner with us that way.
Yeah.
For us to be able to do the work.
Yes. God bless you guys, and we will talk with you soon. Part 2 will be the trip we took together.
Yeah.
Right
We'll get more
after
into
this.
that.
Yeah.
Bye.